Hey guys, it's me again. So technically this first real video that I'm going to do is just a little bit of history about Bobby and I, and how we first kind of figured out that we needed to go see a reproductive endocrinologist. Um, we got married in 2011, so we've been married almost 6 years now. I've always wanted children. Like it's always just been something that I wanted. I was a teenager that probably would have been on that MTV like Teen Mom show, just because I wanted kids so bad, and it's something that I've always wanted, just because I've never really had a very good relationship with my mother and always dreamed of having one with a daughter of my own. So it's always something that I've wanted. Bobby and I both agreed that we wanted a decently big family, 2 to 4 kids. I wanted 4, he wanted 2. So we probably would have compromised at 3 or 4. But I got off birth control a couple months before we got married, thinking that I would just get things moving a little bit quicker, because right after we got married, I had to be pregnant. And then when we got married and I wasn't pregnant, I thought, no big deal, it'll be another few months. After another few months had went by, I went to go see my OBGYN because I had just never really had my girly time. It was never regular. So didn't really think that it would be too big of a deal, but figured I would go see an OB just to see what would happen. So they put me on Clomid and metformin just to kind of get things going, assuming that we would be pregnant in a couple of months. And after another few months of that happening, he decided that it would be a good idea for me to, we'll call this reproductive doctor, Dr. Jelly. And so that's who we were recommended to, and that's who we went to go see. For my initial consultation, I didn't even get to meet with that doctor, which I didn't know was not typical. I just assumed then that you don't typically meet with the doctor right away. So we met with his 2, I call them sidekicks, his 2 nurse practitioner girls that work in the office there. They threw so much information at me that I was so overwhelmed. I wrote in my blog that I felt like they had a book about tubes, uterus, and ovaries, and they just bitch slapped me with it, because I didn't have notebooks. I didn't write anything down. I didn't ask questions. I didn't know what to ask. And they threw so much terminology at me. I had no idea. But the gist of it was that we were going to take some testing, some blood work. I was going to get tested. My tubes were going to get tested. So we were going to do the dye test, and then Bobby would get tested, and we'd kind of see where we're at. So I went in for mine, and laying on that table doing that dye test, it sucked. It was painful. It was awkward. It was the first time I really had to deal with any of the weird procedures, which now are no big deal. But at the time, it was kind of devastating, and I laid there because Bobby wasn't able to be in the room with me, and I just thought, we are really going to have some issues getting pregnant, and I can't believe we're having to do this just to have a baby. But all my tests came back fine, and so we had to draw blood work. My blood work all came back good, and we went to go have Bobby tested. And oh my God, I remember that we went in to meet with the urologist, and I'm sitting, Bobby's sitting next to me, and the doctor just gets in front of Bobby and has him stand up and pulls his pants down. Well, Bobby pulls his pants down, but he asked him to. And I've always considered myself a very mature person, but as I wrote on my blog, I turned into like a 12-year-old little girl. It took everything I could. I literally was like shaking, trying not to laugh and snort and everything, because here's my husband bare-assed in front of me while the doctor's fondling his balls in front of him, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. So I sat there for what seemed like a half an hour, and it was only just like probably just a couple of seconds, and it was the most awkward thing ever. The doctor finally left, and Bobby pulled his pants up and turned around and looked at me, and I lost my shit. Like, I just died laughing, and it was hard to make eye contact with him, but I joked and told him that that was our first threesome, and I hoped that he had fun. He probably doesn't want me telling that story, but it is pretty funny. And so that's his real embarrassing story of all this. But I felt like it was more embarrassing for me just having to be in there and see that. As cute as my husband's ass is, it was just really awkward right in front of me. So anyways, we went through all this, found out that we were both good. So we assumed that now that we'd seen professionals and we'd gotten testing done, that everything would kind of just go very smoothly from here. And so that's kind of our story and how we got started, just with the entire infertility thing, just knowing that we didn't have any real answers, and that kind of sucked. And so it was kind of difficult on like family, with our families, because nobody really understood what was going on. They all were still in the, we want a baby, you guys are married, we should have a baby, let's, where's our grandbabies at? And that was really difficult because we had tried for quite a few months at that point and nothing. And we had tried, Clomid and metformin, and that hadn't really done anything either. So it was difficult to kind of explain to them, we are trying, and it's not from lack of trying. But it's, it is what it is. And so now hopefully at this point we were hoping that the reproductive endocrinologist could take over and help us out from there. And so that's the end of this video. And the next one will kind of go into what kind of happened once we started seeing the RE, the specialist, and our experience with that. Thanks guys for watching.